Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this episode, I want to share with you guys a conversation. I was having a conversation a little earlier this evening um, with my second oldest son, 20-year-old Cameron. If you're familiar with the podcast, you've heard him on here before. And he is a very charming young man. He's in college, he's a junior, and he's having the time of his life. And I was talking to him, and we were talking about something. And I said something to the effect of, well, you just don't understand. And I said, you just don't understand because at his age, he doesn't understand because he hasn't really seen enough or been around enough. Um, and his response was, "Well, Dad, this ain't the '90s." And so I proceeded to tell him, like, "Look, what do you know about anything? You've only been on this earth for 20 years. You know nothing." And so that conversation spawned me to this podcast. Now, I'll be honest and I'll be upfront with you. If I sound on this episode like the old guy in the room, it's probably because I am. I'm about to be 50 in a couple of weeks, right? At the time of this recording. Yeah, so I mean, like I'm old, and here's the thing: I always say about being old. It's a blessing to be old because it beats the alternative. Duh. So if I sound like the old guy, get off my lawn, is probably because that's who I am for this particular episode. So I'll share with you what I told Cameron, and I'll give you some of my opinion on some other things too. But like a lot of young folks, I ain't gonna say everybody, but a lot of you young whippersnappers, young thundercats as I call them, y'all don't what you don't know anything. Like you don't what do you know about real music? Talk to me about real music. Now don't get me wrong. If you've heard more than one episode of this podcast, you know that I am a huge hip hop head. Love hip hop. I am hip hop. I have grown up with the genre. Unlike a lot of people, I've literally been here with hip hop since day one when they called it rap. But I do recognize, the younger generation, younger cats who can rap or whatever like that. I get it. I'm not just strictly old school, but I'm not here for the mumble rap. I mean, like, call me crazy, but if you put out some music and you call it rap, I'd like to at least understand what the hell it is that you're saying. Call me crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I thought that was the name of the game, to understand what the person is saying over these tracks. But no, I mean, and it's a lot of talented artists out here, both young and old. But I understand and realize that Lil Baby don't make music for me. He doesn't. Simply put. And that's not to say that he's not a good artist. He hasn't made one song in his discography for me. Have I heard his music? Yes, I have. Does it bop? Not to me, but I'm pretty sure quite a few of you like his music. But it's not, to me, that's not real music. Like, you gotta have something. You gotta say something. If I give you 3 minutes on a track, you gotta say something that's gonna attract me or make me want to listen to you again. A lot of what rap is today, I mean, it's just a sandwich. And quite honestly, you ever had a sandwich with nothing on the bread, just straight bread? Like, There may be one of two of you out there who've been like that dirt poor where you all you could eat was just the bread. For those of you who've been there, raise your hand and you know who I'm talking to. But yeah, remember when it was just bread and that's all you had was just bread? Yeah, that's what a lot of rap is today. At least to me, it is. This is bread. I'm sorry. I'm not eating just bread on none of my sandwiches. You got to have something on it. So what you know about rap? What you know about real music? I have a different type of level of appreciation for it. And I understand too that because of the era in which I came, I'm checking for lyrics. I don't care about a beat. I don't. I mean, do I want to hear a dope beat? Yes. I mean, let's take, I don't know, the grinding beat by the Clips. That's one of the most iconic beats in hip hop. But I don't want to hear you mumble rap over that. I'd rather hear you just beating on the table, just spitting your hottest bars at the top of your head. What you know about rap, Cameron, and some of you other people, young people out there? What you know about real music? Probably not as much as you think you do. There's some other things that you know nothing about. What you know about spitting game? What you know about spitting game? And what I mean by game, I don't mean spitting game as in, trying to run game on somebody. I'm talking about spitting real game to a young lady, fellas. You can't spit game over a text unless you're into some dope ass poetry. See, when we were coming up, like we didn't have the advent of technology, so you had to use your mouthpiece. And I'll be honest, there's a segment of us who are podcasters that you probably listen to, and you're like, "Oh, he got game." And I'm not gonna call no names. I mean, you may listen to me and say I got game. I don't know. I do, but that's beside the point. But yeah, you gotta be a spit game. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know a woman that doesn't want to be talked to. I know, like, nowadays the whole dating thing. You get a girl, you get a young lady's phone number, and then it's about texting. No, 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 idiot. Spit game, talk on the phone, talk face to face. Anybody can slide in a DM. What you gonna say after you slide in the DM? Oh, baby, you beautiful. You don't think she heard that shit before? Can you look into her eyes and say, "You're my deepest energy"? And I'm only using that line because I heard somebody say it at the mall once. But you get my point. Can you introduce yourself to a young lady or a young man and spit game? Give them yourself, give them your personality, not just the body part that you bought from Brazil. Spit game. What you know about spitting game? You know nothing about spitting game. Go ask your uncle. Go ask your father. Go ask your grandfather. Your grandfather probably had all the game because he probably had your grandmother and a couple other women. And you may have some family members on the other side of town, but that's another that's another story for another day. What you know about that? Again, I might be the old guy in the room. I probably am on this episode. I may be the get off my lawn guy. What you know about spitting game? It's a lot of stuff that you know nothing about. What you know about having common courtesy, or as the old folks in the South would say, good manners. Yeah. Common courtesy will take you a long way. I was going in the building the other day, and I'm walking in the building and I see that there's a woman walking behind me. You know what I do? I hold the door open for her and let her go in before me. That's common courtesy. And she said, "Thank you." And I said, "No problem." That's just how I was raised. Now, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up in the South. I don't know. That's just how I was raised. You let a woman go before you, fellas. Period. You know, I mean, like, I have 3 sons and a daughter. My daughter's the youngest. So I make sure that I told her brothers, like, hey, get this for your sister. Open the door for your sister. Grab your sister's bags. Not because she's incapable of doing it. She's 11 at the time of this recording, but I want them to get in the habit of having common courtesy and some manners. You know, I noticed that my sons, you know, particularly when they're talking to older women or older men, it's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I didn't tell them to do it. It's just something they just started doing. Because that's what I do. If I'm talking to someone that's not family and they're older, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I mean, that's, I don't know, Southern, I guess. I don't know. But that's just courtesy. You know, some people can be offended by it. So you kind of got to watch it. But at the same time, it's just being courteous. Being courteous can go a long way. What you know about that? What you know about entertainers and legends? Man, listen, the word legend gets thrown around way too much these days. If you haven't had a career in entertainment or athletics for 20 plus years, you're not a legend. You're not. At least 20 years, preferably 30. But I hear people, you know, these young folks, young whippersnappers, these Thundercats. Oh yeah, such and such, man. That's a legend. That's a great entertainer. No, they're not an entertainer. You don't want to know who is an entertainer? Earth, Wind, and Fire. Those are entertainers. Prince was an entertainer. Parliament and the Funkadelic were entertainers. Michael Jackson was the ultimate entertainer. I'm sorry, bro. 21 Savage ain't an entertainer. He ain't an entertainer. Nicki Minaj is not an entertainer. Drake is not an entertainer. They just make music. There's a difference. And if you don't believe me, look it up. I don't give a damn how many streams you got. You can't even tell me what a stream is or how much you make from a stream. But show me somebody that, if you want to talk record sales, show me somebody who, when you actually had to get out of your house, go to the store, drive to the store, walk to the store, ride your bike to the store, put down $10, $15 for the tape or CD or album, and you had to purchase it. And then you had to bring your ass home and listen to it. When somebody can do that and you buy 66 million copies of the same album, that's different. It ain't the same. It ain't the same as pushing a button and listening to a song for 10 seconds and getting credit for a stream. Hell, I get streams. For all I know, I might be at 1 million streams on this podcast. I don't know. I don't even know what a stream is worth. And honestly, there's probably nobody that could tell me how much a stream is worth. So if I told y'all that the 12 Kyle podcast streamed 12 million listens last year, what does that mean? What does that mean for me monetarily? Did I go platinum? Did I go triple platinum? Did I go diamond? Come on, man. Come on. What y'all know about that? What you know about entertainers? What do you know about real legends? What do you know about people who paved the way? People who didn't have the access to technology that we have, but they kicked down doors. Smokey Robinson, that's a legend. I'm sorry. Cardi B is not a legend. She's great in her own right. God bless her. She ain't a legend. She can't even spell legend. What y'all know about that? What you know about, and going back to older people, what you know about having respect for your elders? Let alone respect for yourself, but respecting your elders. I remember there was a time like, bruh, There was no way I would I think I started cussing in like 7th or 8th grade. There's no way I would cuss in front of somebody older than me outside of my peers. So if somebody mom was walking on the street, I'm not gonna be letting off 4-letter words. If she was within earshot of me, no. Why would I ever do that? Because you have respect for elders. Man, listen. If I had $1 for so much disrespect that I hear, just casually walking around, I could be at the gas station outside pumping gas into my car. And here you come with your little 21 Savage songs blasting through this little Monte Carlo that you're driving. And it's F bombs and all kind of explicit. Now, granted, I don't want to hear that. I'm not necessarily offended by it, but I don't want to hear it if I'm standing outside of my car as you want to make sure that everybody in the parking lot hears what it is that you're playing. Have a little respect for the elders. I guess. I guess if you're 25 and I'm 50, I guess I'm an elder to you. Have a little respect. What y'all know about respect? What you know about having respect for yourself? Walk around with pants falling down, ass showing. Come on, man. What you know about that? I mean, I would be embarrassed if I walked around and my pants were falling off my ass. I would be personally embarrassed. But if you don't respect yourself, you damn sure ain't gonna respect nobody else, and you definitely won't respect the elders. We were taught to have respect for our elders because those were the people that paved the way. From my generation before us, the generation before us, and the generation before that, they went through Jim Crow. They went through the civil rights movement. You couldn't fix your mouth and say, well, hey, I don't feel like voting. Those people damn near died trying to get the right to vote. Now, I don't care who you vote for. I would suggest that you all vote. But again, I come from an era where that was, pushed to us. And somehow we've lost our way. But that's another story for a whole nother. That should be a podcast in and of itself. But yeah, respect, man. Respect for elders, respect for yourself. Like every day, especially when you think about entertainment and not even entertainment, when you think about people who are doing whatever for attention with no level of respect for themselves, not to mention disrespecting their children and their family members. For what? A couple of dollars? Is it worth it? Man, I ain't selling my soul for nobody. Period. Because at the end of the day, I got to look at myself. But y'all, some of y'all don't know nothing about that. Speaking of family, what you know about honoring your family name? What you know about carrying that? See, like, I guess we just from a different era. Like, there was one thing that, amongst a lot of things, but there was one thing that was impressed upon me before I left high school to go off to college. I left my hometown and went to South Carolina State University. And one of the things that I remember distinctly my mom said was, hey, you're going to put on a football jersey, but the most important name is the name on the back of that jersey. Don't you mess that up. And what she meant by that was like, look, we have a family name. You carry that with you. You have to have a level of dignity and a level of respect that goes along with that. You cannot expect anybody to respect you or your last name if you don't respect it. I mean, again, different era. You could not leave the house and hit the streets and act a fool because you would embarrass the family. And back in the day, you would get your ass cut in the street from the neighbors, then get beat by your mom once you got home because you dishonored the family or you made us look bad. And speaking of neighbors, what you know about neighbors? What you know about neighbors? It is mind-boggling. I live in the city of Atlanta. You can ride through these, hundred hundreds of $1,000 neighborhood, $1 million neighborhoods, and nobody knows each other. Like, and I'm guilty. I mean, I've talked about it on this podcast before. Like, I know the lady across the street, and I know my man Winston who lives next door. But the people that lived on the left of me, I don't know them. I don't know them like that. I mean, we speak, but and I had to ask them one day to cut their grass because like it was, safari back there, and I ain't want no snakes coming over into my yard. But other than that, I mean, they cool. What you know about neighbors? You don't know nothing about neighbors because nobody talks to anybody. Everybody just walks around on their cell phones. And God forbid you tell a kid not to walk through your yard or drop paper in your yard. Oh, I'm gonna tell my mama. Tell your mama. She don't clean her yard. So what? Why do you think I want you to come and dirty up mine? It was just different, man. It was just different. Now we live in these big houses and nobody knows each other. There's no, nobody's never come in my neighborhood and asked me like, could they borrow some sugar? Now, when I was growing up, that was very common. Very common. And I mean, you knew everybody in the neighborhood. And so, like, if I walked 2 streets over, I would know, I could say I'm going over to Johnny's house, and my mom knew exactly, she knew Johnny's people and all of that stuff like that. My kids, no, I'm going around the corner. Run the corner where? I'm going to Tyshawn's house. I don't know Tyshawn. Who's this people? What you know about that? And one of the things that frustrates the hell out of me, man, something that y'all really don't know nothing about. What you know about Saturday morning rituals, the Saturday morning cartoons? That was the thing. You watch cartoons every Saturday morning. You got up, you ate your cereal, you watch cartoons from like 7 o'clock in the morning to like noon. Then you watch wrestling. Well, excuse me, wrestling. If you're from the South like me. And I talked about it on a previous podcast, but it's worth repeating. Like, there was a ritual that we did every Saturday. There were cartoons that came on that had us glued to the TV every Saturday. And then over time, cartoons started coming on TBS in the afternoons, and you could watch cartoons here. And then lo and behold, they came up with something called the Cartoon Network. And now, if you turn on TV on a Saturday morning, you won't find one cartoon on any station other than the Cartoon Network. And it's sad. It's sad, man, because y'all missed out on Super Friends, Hong Kong Phooey, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, the Smurfs, even though I hated the Smurfs. He-Man. Wasn't really a big fan of He-Man, but, it's whatever. The Harlem Globetrotters, Mighty Mouse. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Thundercats. Come on, man. What y'all know about Thundercats? What y'all know about Super Friends? What you know about that? Man, y'all missed out, man. And I will tell you again, and I'll wrap this up by telling you what I told Cameron. If you live long enough, maybe one day you'll experience some things that you'll be able to tell the next generation about what they don't know about. But trust me when I tell you, all the stuff that I tell you that you don't know about, you missed it. And if you missed it, you need to get the game from somebody who went through that particular part of life. Because that's the only way that you're going to know. And God forbid if you got to pass on some of the stuff that we see every day on to the next generation, because sheesh, all they'll know how to do is twerk and make TikTok videos. Oh, they know about that. Like, yeah, we now my generation, we don't know nothing about that. We know about what we know about, but we don't know nothing about that. But yes, that's going to do it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.